TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That and all of us.
Go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers.
Tiger talk.
Go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers.
Tiger talk.
Go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers.
Tiger talk.
Go Tigers, go Tigers.
You're now listening to Tough Tiger Talk with Big Q and the guys on the Pro Media Network.
What's going on, Tiger Nation? We in the building. Another episode of Tough Tiger Talk. Much love to the Tiger Nation, man. This one's called Brian Kelly. It really completes his coaching staff, man, as he brings in or hires a new OC and others. We'll discuss it all on this episode of Tough Tiger Talk. Also, the upcoming matchup on the 4th, LSU and Kansas State out in Houston. So we'll get into all of that. News, notes, and items. I'm Big Q chiming in with this installment of Tough Tiger Talk. And we got Uncle Mozzi as well as the show co-host. Mozzi, how you doing, brother?
I'm all right, my brother. How you doing?
Doing good, my man. In this episode, we going to talk about it. Brian Kelly nearly completes the staff. And I know you heard about some of these moves that he's making. We're going to recap that. But before we get into it, I got something I want to chime up for the family. We're going to listen to a interview from the Paul Feinbaum show from Barrett Selly, what his thoughts is on Brian Kelly's being brought into LSU and what he thinks can happen. So take a listen to this, fam.
With Brian Kelly, I might be in the minority. I love it. I think
All right, let me bring that back. I don't think that the family members probably heard that one here. Let me see if I can do it again. Run it back. Here we go.
that I picked them to do well, though. This is now two. This is now the second time that I've been on board with LSU. Although I will not. Not next. Brian Kelly. I'm excited to hire. With Brian Kelly, I might be in the minority. I love it. I think when Brian Kelly goes for 10 wins essentially every season at Notre Dame with a talent disadvantage, with academic restrictions, all that stuff, then you put him in a situation where he's going to have better players, and he's going to be awesome. I mean, he's going to be awesome. And I know Notre Dame was a joke on the national stage 2 of the last 3 years, and also in Miami when they lost to Alabama in the BCS championship game. But you got to understand, those teams are significantly less talented than the other teams in the playoff or in the BCS case, Alabama. So to me, I think that you put him in a situation where he can get that kind of top-tier talent, he's going to do some damage at LSU. I do think he's going to win a national championship on the Bayou.
Did I hear that correctly? Absolutely picking LSU to do good things?
I did this year. That didn't work out so well. That was the only time that I picked them to do well, though. This is now two. This is now the second time that I've been on board with LSU. Although I will not. Not next year, Paul. Maybe next year, Paul. But in the future, I do think Brian Kelly can win a national championship there.
So that's a part of it. But big ups to the fan. Appreciate y'all chiming for this episode of Tough Tiger Talk. That's Brian Sally on the Paul Feinbaum show, saying that he believes LSU is going to get a national championship, and he's not among the minority. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people, and he laid out some really interesting points about Kelly's tenure at Notre Dame and several 10-win seasons that he accomplished. Very good coach. We know this coming in. It was a surprise hire and a pretty good one by Woodard to bring in a veteran coach with a lot of experience, and he has a recipe to win coming into the SEC and upgrading. And a lot of people believe that he is an upgrade over Coach O because he has the ability to have sustained success, not dropping below floors. He was able to sustain what he did over a period of time, and he's a respected coach, and he's building a respected staff. So we got Mozzi on the show. We got GM Kev joining the stream as well. Much love to the family members out there. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and share the show's link with other LSU family members as we get going with this one. So Mozzi, GM Kev, welcome to the stream. And Mozzi, we're going to start with you first, my friend. You heard what Brian Kelly said of ESPN about Brian Kelly. What are your thoughts?
I think he's absolutely, first of all, good morning. Happy New Year to everybody. I haven't had my dog Kev in quite some time, so this is definitely my pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Moving forward with what's up, brother? Moving forward with what was said, I think he hit the nail on the head. I think that everybody likes Brian Kelly, but I guess they're all on the fence about Notre Dame because, again, Notre Dame, one of those independent programs that for 67 years running almost had a lock or a hold on the college sports world because they were an anomaly, and they're still living off their NBC contract days, if you will. So I don't necessarily know if Brian Kelly was even when Notre Dame had good seasons. I don't ever think that he was fully respected as being that guy that got Notre Dame, to those really good football teams that they had. And I think that a lot of those teams that they had, especially the more higher ranked teams, I think that they thought those numbers were really inflated because given the history of Notre Dame's programming. I mean, God, they made Rudy for God's sake. But, I think that another thing that may or may not work in his favor is I don't know if you remember Alabama before Nick Saban, but it was kind of it wasn't a winning program like it is now. It was kind of rock and rollish, whatever you want to do, players coach type oriented type of system, almost like we had with Coach O and before him with Coach Miles. Like these guys were the ultimate players coaches. They connected with their guys, and that's why they were real good at recruiting. The issue is somebody has to be an adult, when the ball's kicked off. And that's the problem you had with both Les Miles and you had with Coach O. They were too much of a people's coach, too much of a people's person. So when it came down to making tough adult football coach decisions, they didn't really pan out too well. So in comes Brian Kelly. He's going to be the most robotic Nick Saban clone that we can possibly get because everything's going to be by the book. And not only is it going to be by the book, everything's going to be X's and O's, and it's not going to be that laid back college dorm room Johnny Manziel type of, live by the seat of your pants atmosphere that we've had in LSU. The scary part about that, going back to the back end of the comments that we just heard, as bad as we were disciplined from, having two rah-rah type coaches, right? We still had tremendous success during the BCS era. So when you bring an adult into the situation that can actually have these young 17, 18, 19-year-old kids operate as men, like you see in Alabama, like you see in more traditional programs that are always in the conversation, I think that you'll see a rise in the LSU fandom like you've never seen before. But we've got to buy into it. We've got to give him a chance to bring discipline into a program that needs it desperately. But Coach O will be missed on the recruitment end, obviously, because I don't think Brian Kelly is as good as of a recruiter as Coach O is. But he'll have to bring somebody in that'll help him, on that front. But I think he's made some great moves, and I know you'll get on that later. My favorite being Matt House coming over from the Chiefs. But I know you're going to talk on that later. I don't want to overstep. But just on the outside looking in, I think that he brings a lot to the table, and I think that he brings the adultness that we need. Is that a word? He brings the adultness that we need in this program.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, bro. And let's see what your thoughts are, bro.
What's up, man? Happy New Year's to y'all, man. Hope everybody feeling good, bro.
Yes, sir. We're feeling good. Appreciate you. Happy New Year's to you.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Back on the stream with my man Mozzi up in here. That's the Swami right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the one
Every
and
time
only.
he hit, hey, Q, I ain't gonna lie, man. This year he been cooking, bro, and he been right on a lot of subjects: Saints, Pelicans, and Tigers. So, hey, got to give it to Mozzi on that one. But
Yep.
I look at it. I
Gotta give
wasn't
it to
too,
him.
I wasn't too happy about the hire at first. I thought, well, if it works, the only way it can work is like if he get good assistants. And I do like the assistants he getting, especially the guy from North Louisiana up there from La Tech. So you're bringing a guy in that's, a homer, probably can relate to some of the guys they trying to recruit too. So I think that's good, but it's like what Mozzie said in a way too. You got to give him time to see. I don't know how much that timetable is. I guess, look, he got 10 years. So I hope it don't take 10 years to get a championship, but they in a dogfight, man, because this recruiting class has got very intense and very competitive. When I see what Alabama's doing, man, with this, and they won't say it and quote it, but okay, allegedly that they already, for years they had their plan in place while they paying people. And I'm just seeing guys out the wazoo transferring Alabama. And they turning down other good schools. Everybody's going to Alabama. And then now you bring in Texas Tech. You're looking at Ole Miss. We got a championship that's all SEC. Who's going to win the recruiting battle is going to decide who's going to win the SEC or championship status. And right now, I'm hearing that LSU allegedly is getting that program in place for put some cash on the table to get some players, and they're going to have to. Because right now, it's not about prestige or what you've been doing. It's who can pay. So if you win that race, you get the best players.
Very well spoken.
Yeah,
Big fear. I've been having this fear for 1,000 years. Pay him and you water down the game. You take the most pure game ever and kill it. Yeah. I never was in agreement with it, ever.
But this conversation has been going on probably way before our time, and athletes go there and you go to these big universities and they getting a lot of publicity, a lot of TV contracts, a lot of big money. And the athlete, and they're like, well, you should be happy to get an education. Yeah, but I'm a part of bringing millions to your organization, and I can't even get a T-shirt on my jersey. Like nobody can purchase that. So yeah, I mean, and that's what's going on right now. So you got to put the money up, or I guess who's going to be available to put up more funds to sway recruits. I'm seeing a lot of decommits. I see a lot of transfer portals. There's a reason why, because a lot of these colleges have that pay plan already in place. Now, LSU is allegedly coming in later on that with the money, but people already got systems set up. So you've seen a lot of decommits. Like, it's not about, Notre Dame got a good tradition. Yes, LSU for the last 20 years has a great tradition, winning championships, being bowl eligible. But who's going to pay the money right now? That's what they want, bro. It's all about the change right now. So let's sit back and see what happens. I'm optimistic. I'm gonna give him a chance. He wasn't my first choice. I'm not gonna even lie to you. But when you look at the record, you look at the assistants. Yeah, they got a puncher's chance to do some damage.
Yeah, this guy's for real, man. With all of the success he have, a proven winner with a lot of ties to a lot of good coaches, and he's bringing them guys down to the bayou with him. And he's building quite an intriguing staff. And like you said, and I agree to a degree about Coach O being a better recruiter, but he's going to have to improve upon that. But giving him and then the power of the SEC and LSU, and this is the sustained success that they want to have to be able to compete with the Nick Sabans of the SEC every year. And of course, in shortly there, and shortly in a year or so, you're going to have Texas and Oklahoma moving into the SEC. So, baby, it's getting deeper and deeper in the SEC and college football. And you may mention some really great points there, Kev. But we just, as an organization, they're gonna have to figure it out and move forward. And listen, we ain't exactly poor over here. SEC got a lot of, especially LSU got a lot of bread they're throwing around so we can compete. And it's all about getting the most out of these players that we get in here. So we'll sit back and see some really intriguing college football coming up soon.
Can I interrupt you for a second, Q?
Yeah, go ahead, Kev. What you got?
The thing is, too, we have to win the Louisiana State War, meaning that we need to get most of the top recruits out of Louisiana.
You think we
can't have a 5-star recruit going to Alabama, like a River Parish dude going to Alabama, like that shouldn't be happening. Any 5-star, 4-star recruits top off, we should be getting them. Now, you ask why we not getting them. There could be a lot of, reasons why. A lot of guys do want to leave home. Everybody, personal situation is different. So I do understand. But a lot of times that why we not getting these 5-star recruits? And right now it's looking like it's money, especially since that's, being kicked off. So, LSU got the money. Are we willing to compete? I guess with a lot of colleges when it comes to how much money they're going to, pay players, because a lot of those alumni, they more old school. They still like thinking back in the old days. We don't really want to, pay college athletes a lot of money like that, but the times have changed and you got to get with it.
Right. I mean, you have to adjust.
Yeah.
Adaptation is needed. But like I said, if anybody's in position, LSU's been enriching themselves with these programs for years, not just in the football sense, but basketball, they really elevated. Baseball, they've been there. And like I said, LSU's in a good space right now when we talk about stuff like that. So, like I said, we're not the bottom feeders in the SEC, even though over the last couple of years we've played like it. They have to improve, and the only way you can bring in a lot of the in-state recruits here is by winning football games and gathering that respect. That's how we were able to do a lot of the things that we were doing, bringing a lot of these people in. They come to the winners. They want to be a part of the winners, not losers. When you're not winning, that make it just that easy for out-of-state schools such as in Alabama or Florida or any one of these teams to come in your state and take the best players over to their programs. So that regardless of whatever the case may be, you're going to have to figure a way to win. So, I mean, like what you mentioned about the money situation, Mozzi talks about the recruits. You're going to have to figure a way to start winning football games and keeping the team playing at the program at a high level. That's what it basically comes down to.
Yeah.
So let's get into some of this article right here from Brian Kelly. We have it on screen about nearly complete staff with LSU expected to hire 3 assistant coaches coming into this thing. And this is coming from the Advocate Baton Rouge. As Wilson Alexander's on the scoop. Brian Kelly has nearly finished and assembled his staff. LSU expected to hire 3 more assistant coaches, including Cincinnati's offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, in the same role. Multiple sources confirmed to the Advocate. The hires of Denbrock, quarterbacks coach Joe Sloan, and defensive line coach, running game coordinator Jamar Cain will almost complete Kelly's first staff. He has 1 more opening, which will likely go to the wide receivers coach. So Denbrock, a little background on him, spent the past 5 years as Cincinnati's offensive coordinator under coach Luke Fickell. And the Bearcats improved throughout his tenure, finishing with 2 straight top 20 scoring offense. Cincinnati averages 37 points this year, and this season ended Friday with a 27-6 loss to Alabama in the college football playoff semifinal. Now, the agreement reunites Denbrock and Kelly that first worked together at Grand Valley State in the 90s. Then Denbrock later joined Kelly at Notre Dame for 7 years. Denbrock coached tight ends and wide receivers. He also spent the 2014 season as the offensive coordinator before becoming the associate head coach. Now, you look at Denbrock, he's 57 years old, and he played tight end, so he has a little background right there as well. Now, Kelly initially targeted Notre Dame offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, but he decided to stay with Marcus Freeman in Notre Dame. Now, with Sloan, 35 years old, spent the past 9 seasons at Louisiana Tech, including the last 2 as the OC and quarterbacks coach in Eastern Carolina graduate. Sloan followed Skip Holtz from South Florida to Louisiana Tech in 2013. He served as the assistant head coach the past 7 years. Louisiana Tech named him the interim coach when Holtz was fired late this season. With his time in Louisiana, Sloan provided another assistant who has a deeper understanding of the state. He oversaw Louisiana Tech's recruiting during his stint at the school and helped sign the top class in Conference USA in 2020. Now, Cain coached outside linebackers and defensive ends the past season, a couple of seasons at Oklahoma. He was reportedly committed to following Lincoln Riley to Southern Cal, going as far as changing his social media pictures to USC graphics, but he hadn't finalized the deal. A career defensive line coach, Cain has overseen the position at Arizona State in 2019, Fresno State in 2017 and 18, and the FCS powerhouse North Dakota State in 2014 and 2016. He will replace defensive line coach Andre Carter, who spent 1 season on staff. And Kelly has now hired 9 of his 10 on-field assistants. He added defensive coordinator Matt House and defensive assistant Robert Steeples earlier this week The defensive side was finished with the hiring of Cain, and the offensive staff came together with Denbrock and Sloan. Let's get analysis from the family. We'll start with Mozzi. Mozzi, let's see what your thoughts are on the coaching staff Brian Kelly's assemble. We were looking at what is it all, who's going to be the offensive coordinator, who's going to be the defensive coordinator, a lot of in and out movements. What do you think about the staff he's assembled?
Well, I mean, obviously Denbrock is a really good hire. We just obviously saw what Cincinnati was able to do this season, although they did fall short to Alabama in the SEC title game in the semifinal. That could directly be attributed to conference and recruitment and talent pool. So, you know, Cincinnati is going to get 3- and 4-star recruits, where Alabama obviously going to get 4- and 5-star recruits. So not delving too deep into that. With the 3- or 4-star recruits in a much smaller market in Cincinnati, right, where I guess the Bengals would be the big ticket in the town, he was able to get just enough recruits in just the right situation to make a substantial run amongst some really, really big dogs. You know, so you leapfrog several SEC schools, you leapfrog some Big 12 schools, some Pac-12 schools. So you did your thing to come from Cincinnati. I'm not going to lie about that part. Again, would that be my first choice for OC? Probably not. But because we did get Matt House in Kansas City, who has a really, really good track record working with secondary, which just so happens to be our strong suit in the secondary market. I think that in the secondary part of the defense, I think that that's going to be a big, big plus for us moving forward. I really like that hire more than the OC. Where if we can manage to save a couple of the players from hitting that old transfer portal, I think we can make a really, really deep run this upcoming season, and we can eclipse that 10, possibly 11 game wins off defense alone. I think our defense will be good enough to win us at least another 3 or 4 games that we failed this year, because we had some good games this year. We just couldn't defensively keep it together for 4 quarters. But, you know, if you look at some of our tougher losses, quarters 1 through maybe midway through the 3rd, we played a fairly decent game before we let it get away from us defensively. So I think we got to discover who we are and go back to our defensive route. And whatever happens on the offensive ball just happens. I mean, you know, we are definitely rebuilding on that side of the ball. We have, quarterback issues. We've got wide receiver issues. We've got, running back issues, although that's probably, if we can keep everything at bay, that'll probably be our most stable aspect or area of the offense. But we need a lot of help in a lot of ways. And I think it's going to have to come from the defensive side of the ball first. And we've got to, again, give this entire staff at least 1 year. But I do think, given the overall conference, given the recruitment that we have, depending on what our class will look like as everything shapes out and unfolds, I think that we could have a 10-11 games win season next year. Now, how far or how deep we'll go or where our rank will be, that I don't know. Georgia's, great. Alabama's going to be great. You got a lot of people coming back. You got a lot of competition, and we got to go into next season with everything pretty much new. We just detonated our entire team. We've got to go into the new season with the sense of, hey, we got to give these guys time to work and come together in jail. We can't expect them to just come, everything brand new and just work, be a well-oiled machine. So, but I definitely think we'll hit that 10-11 win game mark this upcoming season. But that will all depend on if we can solve our issue at quarterback.
Yeah, that's the biggest one of all right there, the quarterback situation, filling in the staff, and now the attention starts to turn to the recruits. Kev, what are your thoughts on the coaching staff that Coach Kelly has assembled?
Yo, man, I'm going to tell you like this. Cincinnati, they got a lot of great NFL prospects coming off the board when they come to the draft. They got some players over there. Now, I know, going against Alabama, that was a different speed for them. They don't, but for us players on the board, they got a lot. So I'm not going to poo-poo on the Cincinnati decision that coach is coming from over there, Mozzi, because they had a good track record. I mean, if you put them in a different conference, who knows what might happen. Getting used to playing that competition every week, you might have to up your level. But, my best hire for them is Matt House. I mean, you bring a championship defensive coach over there. That's a really big hire. And we always said before the season that RPO offense they was running, that's not going to work. It's got to be more balanced. Play action, having a fullback up in that same thing we say about the Saints, the same stuff. So, they tried that, but it wasn't working. So anything I guess new coming to like offensive coordinator, offensive schemes, I'm all for it because they were vanilla is best on offense. I mean, you had an offensive line that wasn't great as well. So then didn't understand why they kept running it, but they did. But, that's how you end up being 6-5. But it's time to right the ship, bro. So I want to know what they're going to do. You got a 5-star quarterback you just signed. And I thought that Nussmeier was the guy that was supposed to be taking the helms, and you got, Branham coming back. So it's like, well, who's going to be the QB? Like, but I would think if you just snatched a 5-star, recruit at quarterback, he got to be the guy starting, right, Mozzie?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we still don't actually know the fate of Brennan and what's going on with him. I mean, they had transport portal rumors going on with him, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Did we verify that?
Yeah, he came back.
He came back.
Yeah, no, I get that. He did decide to come back, but that's still on the table. Like, don't think that like the disdain isn't there. I mean, if you did it once, you'll do it again. So
yeah, no.
We're in disarray at quarterback. I mean, that's just the obvious. We're gonna just state that. We got to accept that. So like, if it works out for us, great. But we need to be putting our emphasis on defense and our run game. Period. So the quarterback thing, we've been spoiled. We've been spoiled since Burrow, and like we just got to get off that. That was like a one-off. Obviously, you see this guy is doing incredible in the NFL. So like, he's that guy. He's legit. He happened to fall to us, and we just got to let that be what it was. That was an anomaly, right? And we got to just let that fall off our backs and kind of be what that was and move forward, right? So moving forward, the 5-star recruit that we have coming in, I think he should definitely start. Why? We've already given Brennan a chance. We've already seen what we have. If we're going to start new, let's start new. We're not going to start old. We're not going to start in the middle. Let's start new. Why? Because accountability for the entire LSU football program just isn't there right now. So they've got a chance to plug and play and try to work magic and see what fits without being held accountable for it for at least 2 seasons. So why are you not going to go forward with all new pieces after you've already seen that the prior pieces didn't fit?
True. But, they need to change the rule, though. This rule that where that guys or coaches can opt out right before a bowl game. I'm not feeling that, bro. I don't like that at all. I know the players like it because, it's less chance of you getting hurt. You don't want, mess up your NFL stock. Okay, I understand that. But, man, when you go through the whole season of your team, especially for these players that's probably going to be, higher round picks, and, a week before, like, your bowl game, if it's I see important bowl games where guys are, like, skipping it. And I'm like, well, man.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you on that, Kev, because I often find that quite problematic, too, to the people like yourself or me and Mozzie that's watching the game. And, of course, some of the best talent there just makes a decision, well, I got to worry about me and mine for the NFL. Well, you were doing that when you should have known that be earned on. You mean to tell me you're going to use the regular season to beef up your statistics, and then when it comes down to the final, you're going to skip out and talk about I got to worry about me and mine? You wouldn't have had me in mind if you didn't step up and handle what you was supposed to handle during the season. So I'm with you on that. I think a rule needs to be passed.
I don't know about that, fellas.
They have to complete the season, or if you have it should be a deadline. Listen, it should be it should be a deadline.
No deadline. You got to complete the season.
No, listen, I get you on that, and I feel you on that, but that's a little totalitarian right there, a little authoritative, that we can say, well, no, you got to do this, you got to do that. No, you come to think of it, I would issue a deadline somewhere within the first month of this, like the first 3 or 4 games of the season, in which you have the opportunity to opt out and say, you know what, this is it. And that won't give them too much, and it won't give them too less. It is like 3 or 4 games of the season, and it's a cutoff point. And after that, you are not allowed to opt out for the NFL. Now, if injuries occur, that's another thing. But in terms of football and you're healthy to play, you got to complete the season.
That's what yes. We look at it like this. Let's say if the shoe was on the other foot, right? Let's say coming into this year, we got Brian Kelly, his staff. Let's just say we don't go to a championship, but we go to a big bowl. that's trying to propel us to get like the top seed going into the following year, right? And we got like a few players at wide receiver, or maybe somebody on the defensive side of the ball that's like could be potentially All-American or even a Heisman candidate. And they're like, you know what, man? Yeah, we going to the Sugar Bowl this year. The Sugar Bowl ain't the championship, so yeah, we're gonna opt out. You're gonna be like, oh man, like, hold up, bro. We could have won that game if y'all would have played. So 6 or 7 of y'all guys that say, you know what, man, we done. Yeah, we 11-2. We didn't get to the championship, but we good now. Y'all go ahead and go play that game. So if the game is lopsided, you're gonna be like, well, dang, we had 7 or 8 players that opted out and went, say they're gonna sit out for the bowl game. I don't like that, bro. Nah, man.
I agree. I mean, that's problematic, and the rule definitely needs to be brung to cut that from happening. That's why I was like, when you enter it, because a lot of people gonna buck you saying, no, you got to play the full season. That's a jump from what it is to where you want it to be. That's why I said it'll be more easily accepted if you put a deadline. And I will say after the first 4 games of the college football regular season, it's a deadline for you to opt out for the rest of the season if you're worried about your NFL status and your health. A lot of people are not going to do that, so they'll be forced to play the rest of the season. But you did provide an opt-out for them at that point in time. And remember, too, C-19 is going to be a big part of college football moving into this thing, so you're going to see a lot of motion going in and out of this thing. And it's going to hit college football. It has hit college football hard, and I think in this year, I think that'll ratchet up to a degree too. So, I mean, you make some points on that. Let's get Mozzi's account on this, Mozzie, before we move on to the preview of LSU and Kansas State.
Fellas, I got 2 words for you in regards to that point. Willis McGahee, Fiesta Bowl. I know all y'all remember it well. That is a time when players played because they had pride. There was also a time when Willis McGahee was slated to make the biggest payday as a running back ever in NFL history and completely tore his knee apart in the Fiesta Bowl and lost that. He did have insurance. He did wind up making something of himself in the NFL, but Willis McGahee could have been, I don't know, Emmitt Smithish, Barry Sanderish, if I may. One of the best running backs ever in the collegiate ranks. Blew his knee out with 3rd, 4th quarter of the Fiesta Bowl. A lot of the listeners probably never even heard of him, especially some of the younger ones. But that is a prime example why you got to protect your best interest when you gain that kind of capital and stock. So it's almost like you got to look at it like this. Okay, I found my land, I renovated the house, built the house, I got it custom. Everything that I want is exactly what I need it to be. I've got $1.5 million invested in the house. I'm not gonna put it on Airbnb and have it like rented out for like a Coke party or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bad investment. You put so much money into it, you can't let something like that they may not damage it, but then again they may tear your entire investment up. So when you scale it up on those terms, you kind of look at it in a different light. You can't fault these kids because if that was your son, right, you tell them the same thing.
I don't. I'm just saying because you gotta look at it like, okay. Oh man, okay. So if you playing football, you decide, okay, I'm going to play football. You could tear your knee in week 8, Miles. It don't matter. It has happened to happen in the Fiesta Bowl, and people looking at that like, well, if he would have said out, man, what if they did it in week 9? Would it still matter? Like when you play football, injuries going to happen. Like you can't decide which week it might happen. No, bro. Look, you sign this letter of intent. They don't sign you to play 10 or 11 games, and then that's it. If you go into a big bowl. And your team gonna want you there, especially if you're a leader. So how you think that trickles down? Like, oh man, he just like he went on. How you think that team gonna feel that's coming in there to play that bowl game?
Well, no, I get it, but I mean, it's just thinking objectively from both sides, so you can actually see the point of what I don't. I wouldn't want any of the listeners to hold a player accountable or be angry at a player for making that decision, because I've got to frame it up to where you're the player, and then, okay, well, maybe I could understand it. We as the fans are never going to like it because, we ordered our 100 wings, or we grilled our steaks and made hamburgers, or we ordered 8 pizzas for this moment, and you're not allowing us to enjoy this moment. And I think that we don't understand that those guys, like, have normal lives and got to make decisions like us. They're not gladiators. They're not there just for our entertainment purposes only. They got a life outside of our entertainment, which, hey,
I understand that,
that's just
Mike.
being objective. That's being objective because as a fan, you damn right I want you out there. I want to peel you off the field. When they first came out with concussion protocol, I was one of the first ones aggravated every other Sunday when they holding guys out. Guys got to sit out the next week. And this is the time when I was I was gambling a little bit on the games, and I was like, wait a minute, what you mean concussion protocol? So no, as a fan, I 100% get it.
Okay, so let me hold on, Miles.
Go ahead.
Hold on, I got you right there. Watch how I get him on there. So since you said Willis McGahee, so that made me go back in my mind and think. So that Fiesta Bowl, did they win that Fiesta Bowl, Miles? Against Nebraska, they won it, didn't
they? They did.
Okay, so it blowed them out. It wasn't even close, if I can remember, right?
I know where you about to go at with it.
Hold on.
Let
me get that. So Willis McGahee, let's say, he said, you know what? I'm going to set out. Clinton Portis, I'm going to set out. Andre Johnson, I'm going to set out. Jeremy Shockey, I'm going to set out. Jonathan Vilma, I'm going to set out. Sean Taylor, I'm going to set out. If all those guys set out, would they have won the national championship, Miles?
Oh, well, we'll never know that. The world may never know. That's a Tootsie Roll Pop question. That's what I call that. The world may never know.
Most of them guys I just named was first-round players, and most of them was going to be Hall of Fame potential, bro. So, hell no, they wouldn't have won.
Well, I tell you what. When you get the DeLorean out the shop, we'll go back and check it out. You know what I'm saying? But until then, we got to just go what we saw on the scoreboard, brother. And Willis McGahee definitely missed a prime opportunity to be something really big with that
He still had a good NFL career because you could say hypothetically, even if he hadn't tore his knee, they still win, right? And he get into his rookie year and tear his knee in the NFL. You still have to be able to overcome that injury, college or NFL or not, Miles. That's part of that game when you playing that sport like that. Like, you can't go out. It's not mad. These guys they're real people with real bodies and real injuries. So you can have a non-contact injury, just planting the wrong way, and your knee is gone. Nobody even touched you.
No, you're right about that. But I mean, it's always gonna sting because it happened in that game. So I know. It's always gonna be a magnifying glass on that particular game as to why you don't do that. There's no more of a prime example of why you don't do that than Willis McGahee. So I mean, it's gonna be an all-around debate because you're right. He could have got hurt week 1, but he didn't. So he got his stock value. His stock value was up through those 12 games, right? So his stock value was 12 games and 3 quarters in when that injury happened. So
I think he still was a first-round pick, though, wasn't he?
No, I think he dropped down because I know he was
I think McGahee cute. Didn't McGahee still go in the first round even with the injury?
I don't remember. I don't. Let me look him up.
It's probably like around early 2002. I think 01,
2002, 2003, if I'm not mistaken. 2003, the game was played.
I knew exactly what you're talking about. I remember that like vividly because most of those players on that team, we won the Super Bowl with them. Shockey, Vilma, So
I mean, all of them went on to have great NFL. Yeah, I mean, all of them went on to have.
He drafted by the Bills in the first round.
There you go. So it didn't matter why he still got drafted in the first round.
He was saying in terms of his historical value, he could have been one of the best had not been that injury.
But I mean, he wasn't as quick and explosive as he was in Miami when he got to Baltimore. He was still moving, but you could tell like that jerk, like when you tear your knee, man, like you don't get that quick jerk no more because you scared to test it, like you don't want that to happen again,
Yeah, he still piled up over 8,000 yards rushing in his career, and he 65 rushing touclls. So I mean, it's still
a good career.
Good career for Willis McGahee. Yep. But let's move on to the preview stream. We're going to look at LSU against Kansas State. That's the next one, and of course, this one will happen on the 4th. A lot of people kind of thought that the game was over. It's kind of a weird place to have this game because it was, I thought it might have been before the 1st or on the 1st, but we on the 4th now. LSU coming to this thing 6-6 against the 7-5 Kansas State Wildcats here. As you can see the statistics on screen, points per game, 27.1 for LSU, giving up 25.3, K-State 26.3, giving up 21.1, LSU 375.5 total yards offensively per game, 264.2 through the air, 109.3 on the ground. K-State 355.7 with 195 through the air, 161 yards rushing on the ground. They like to run the rock. LSU giving up 372.2 yardage defensive-wise. It's 235 of it through the secondary, and giving up a really 137 yards per contest, while statistically speaking, giving up on the running attack, people running on them like that. And of course, you look at K-State 348 flat, 221.7 given up, and then they allow you to run on them about 126.3 yards per contest. So Kansas State, LSU, a lot of people asking about the quarterback situation or who will be the quarterback for this game here. You know, it's a lot of it. Listen, we know the situation surrounding with Nussmeier and what he's trying to do, but the only other eligible quarterback to play if Nussmeier can't play is Tavion Falk. Now, in just a minute, I'm gonna put up on screen the depth chart that LSU released for Tuesday's Texas Bowl. So, you know, it's barely 40 players, and the cornerbacks most notable is freshman Demarius McGee, Nichols transfer Darren Evans, plus walk-on Lloyd Cole are only ones listed. So I'm gonna put that up on the screen in just a second. But once again, the roster that they put up for the Texas Bowl has two quarterbacks on it. It's Garrett Nussmeier and Tavion Falk. So they both. So this, I don't know. This is brutal, but this is the stuff like you had that happened with Max Johnson opting out and leaving, but his duties as the quarterback to lead this team, he just left him. Just let whatever I'm gonna handle. I'm gonna worry about me. Y'all do whatever y'all gonna do. I mean, you could at least fulfill, and I get what you're saying on that, Kevin. You could at least fulfill your obligation to LSU. You didn't have to jump ship and leave the team in terrible streets. That's not a good example for future youngsters to look at and say, well, it's all about me and mine. Now, it's a commitment to the whole. You wouldn't have had it or gotten it if it wasn't for the team. So, let's go ahead on and get into the breakdown on this one. Kev, and then I'm going to bring Mozzi in. Thoughts on LSU and Kansas State?
You know what? I really don't know what to expect after all the turmoil. You know, we was hoping to have this conversation as far as the new coaches or interim coaches or whatever, probably after the year, man. But you know, coming to this game, you know, you got a coach that won a championship, really respected in a lot of areas, and some have their opinion about him on a negative front. A young quarterback that was trying to find his way. A defense is still trying to find his way. Got some talent there. Some good, you know, on paper, you got a lot of good recruits. Can it all come together and guys knowing that they about to be out of a job? I'm like, it would show professionalism that, like, you know, even through the adversity that I came and did my job, we performed well, and hopefully that will land me another job. But it's pretty hard, Q. I don't know what to say about it because Kansas State and you know, in the Big 12, you know, I guess they all right, but you know, anybody could beat anybody. But I'm gonna be a homer and say LSU 21, K-State 17.
21-17. Who's the quarterback?
Nussmeier.
Nussmeier's the quarterback. All right, we're gonna bring Mozzi in. He just dropped out. He having sound issues right now. But while that's going on, let me see about let me put up the depth chart that the LSU released for this game. And like I said, it was one of the things that, you know, it's like, damn, this team is really ate up pretty bad. And a lot of these players left them. Yeah, a lot of these, that's not a good look. These players,
that's not a good look.
Like that.
That's what I was meaning. Like you know, you already hurting for players. You know, you didn't have a season that you wanted to at LSU, right? And then now we're seeing guys, you know, they shouldn't even be able to enter the transfer portal either at this point until after this bowl game, bro. Like, how do you do that? And guys could be gone, and guys, right, you know, worked up all this time, and now like a week before the bowl or a couple of days before, and you know what? Man, I'm going to the draft. Like, damn, we already hurting at running back. So who's gonna be the running back now? Corey Kiner?
Yeah, that's what, and this is the roster, as you can see, and I got my mouse pointed to the quarterback situation of who they have listed for this roster, Nussmeier and Falk. And of course, you see some of the other offensive pieces, running backs, Corey Kiner's there, Josh Williams, and Conrad Norman. And then you look at some of the wide receivers here with Jaire Jenkins, Chris Hilton, Alex Adams, Malik Neighbors, and John Trey Kirkland. And you can see a lot of other things. So let's get Mozzi up in here. Mozzi, we going over the K-State LSU preview. What do you think about this?
I think that it needs to be banned from TV. I don't know. I mean, we see no offense. I mean, I guess. Well, here's the thing, man. At this point, I just, oh my God. I don't know what they're actually playing for. So, I mean, it's an outlier game on the 4th. All of the holidays are over. People are back to work. It's on a whole Tuesday. I mean, it's probably on like ESPN 19 or something. I mean, like every statistical reasoning I could think of to make this an enjoyable experience, I just can't. I think that this is one of the monetary things that the NCAA does to allow, a corporate sponsor to come in and throw a few dollars around and, buy a trophy. And I mean, I just don't think it has any meaning. I think the players understands that it doesn't have any meaning. And I honestly, I can't fault them for it. Especially after you've already brought in all of you've tainted this game with the monetary situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done a lot to yourself, right? To fall out of favor with just everyday things. So like, I can't get mad at them. I can't fault them. I understand why they don't want to. It's the Texas Bowl. You're playing Kansas State. It's 4-0. Whatever impact you've already made, you've done that. I mean, you'll make more of an impact on Pro Day than you will in this bowl game on Senior Day. You will this bowl game. Like this bowl game means nothing. I mean, to me, anyway, I don't see it.
Well, to them it do because they got a lot to play for in terms of guys who's coming back on the team.
Yeah.
Or guys who probably in their last year want to put something else on tape to have another better game going into like the NFL workouts and all that. So on some levels it do mean a lot, but the grand scheme of things it don't mean a lot to us because we used to bigger bowls that have bigger meanings. So on that front, it's a wash. This should have been played like in the middle of December or something.
Yeah, like this should have been around the 27, 28. Like people, especially now. Okay. Now that the championship is set, right? So like everybody's focusing on that now. Like all these other games. I mean, I guess if you're a real fan or whatever, but I mean, it seems like a money grab to me. Now I do understand that you got some the outlier guys that really were on the fence about whether they had a position or whatever. I mean, you got those guys, But I mean, you don't want to see those guys play anyway. That's like the scrub team. I mean, no offense, right? But we're not tuning in to see those guys play anyway, are we?
But those are guys that you got right now. There's a lot of those guys coming back next year.
No, I get it, but like that's like watching a preseason game to me almost. I don't know. I'm just not faulting anybody for like skipping. I won't be watching it. I mean, I'm a co-host to like a LSU like thing, and I'm not even watching it, I guess. I mean, I watch the highlights so I won't sound like an idiot when I get on here. I mean, but I'm not gonna like if I got something else going on, like I'm not watching that. So like I don't know if Infographics drops another like new YouTube video, like I'll watch that before I watch like the new LSU. I don't know, bro. It's just it's like a preseason game.
Well, we used to LSU and playing in January football. That's a championship game we'll be getting ready for, So for them to be playing in January and right before the big championship game, and this game is not. It's like 6 and 5 teams. It's a money thing, and K-State loving it because they didn't never get that much recognition in football. So for them to be on but this on CBS, I think it's on CBS network. This is big for them and big for them for their recruiting class. ESPN, still,
ESPN 8 p.m. Central Time matchup.
This can help their recruiting claims. Like, hey, this went to a bowl. We was on ESPN. You can get a chance to go to the draft. Come here. So that's another pitch that you can use in recruiting.
This is not, and to add, fam, this is not Brian Kelly's situation. It's the end of the Coach O era, to be honest. This is what this is. It's not really tied to what he's doing. He's recruiting. Of course, Coach Brad Davis is going to be the head coach of the team. He's the lone holdover from Coach O's staff. He will be the head coach of the squad. And the squad, like I said, currently on the screen, this was the depth chart that was released by LSU for the upcoming matchup with K-State. So you can see right here the only 2 quarterbacks that's on this roster of 40-something players, Garrett Nussmeier and Tavion Falk. So, I mean, I'm not expecting a lot. I'm going to watch it because I'm an LSU guy, to be real with you, to see what goes on, because I enjoy it. But you're right. I think this game should have been placed on New Year's Day or perhaps a day earlier than
I don't even think it should even got that close. It should have been like December 17th or something.
Well, maybe a little before that, Kev, but you're right. This game should, I don't understand why where it is, but it is what it is. We're going to just have to enjoy it. But, yeah, this is the end of the Coach O era. They should have just let them finish. They didn't have to run them out of town. They could have just let them coach his goddamn bowl game and get them out. It was hastened to the point where it was hastened for him to just get him up out of here. And now
I got to write that one down. Hugh Hassan, boy. So
with that being said, fam, listen, man. That'll do it for this episode of Tough Tiger Talk. I appreciate the family members for chiming in on this one. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join the Tough Tiger Talk Nation. We'll be back and recap the LSU matchup against K-State later on this week. And LSU, it's going to be a tough sled, but this is the end of the Coach O era. They're 6-6. They're trying to get to 7-6. We're going to see how it all shakes, man, on the back end. But Kelly bringing his own administration, well-respected coaches, and people that have to handle business for LSU. The stakes are high in the SEC. And like we said before, Texas is coming into the SEC and Oklahoma's coming too real soon. So LSU knew they had to find a coach, a respectable coach with a winning culture that knows how to win and won't play games with you, that's going to challenge Nick Saban in the SEC. That's what they want. Yep. So it takes wins. It takes wins in recruiting to do it, or whatever we got to do. If it takes money, we got that too. They got the money. They got the recruiting base in LSU. Whatever we need to do, and they got to bring in the wins and dominate, just like Alabama done in their state. So we'll see how it all turns and twists, man. We'll be here every step of the way. So much love to the fam. Appreciate GM Kev and Mozzi for trying this on this episode of Tough Tiger Talk. And I'm going to holler at you guys all later. Much love to y'all, and go Tigers.
Go Tiger.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us.